I think has been a really big learning for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And another one is Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. She's just an incredible kind of motivational speaker. And I actually have that framed on my desk. It's Everything is Figure Outable, because it's one of those things where everyone hits a wall at some point, and then, just knowing that you can figure it out eventually has been really motivating for me. And then I'm currently reading Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. He's the founder of Zappos, which is just all about customer service. And I just started it. I'm like a chapter in. So, but he obviously built a really incredible company. So those kind of things I think are really inspiring and can be a nice light if you're feeling like you're stressed or frustrated in your day to day, and helps you think, I think, more strategically as well. Yeah.
Those are 3 really good book recommendations. Thank you. And what about, I recall you mentioning to me at one point some of your time management strategies that were kind of really interesting, and I thought very spiritual, which I think, we can all use a little dose of spirituality in our lives.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a couple of things. I mean, I love yoga. And so I try to incorporate that at least a few times a week. I think it's really good for your mental and physical state. And even just like exercise in general, I think, and I try to make time. I'm a big time blocker. So I try at the beginning of each week, or maybe like the Sunday night or something, to kind of like look at what I've got going on for the week and try to like block things out within my calendar so that I can feel like I have baked in time for whatever it is that I actually need to do. Some weeks it works better than others, but it's a good like starting point at least, so that I can see what's kind of on my plate. And then I try to then block out that time for yoga, or running, or getting outside. And I found that it's really easy as the day goes on to kind of, that takes a backseat to whatever's going on. But if you block it out in the morning, then you're going to do it, and you've actually made that time to do it, and kind of seeing it on your calendar, I think, makes it more real. I know we also talked about, in terms of managing stress, I started a gratitude journal around almost a year ago. So it's, I think it's called the 5-minute journal, and it really does take, 5 minutes. And I've done it now every day in the morning and the evening since November of last year. So I'm coming up on a year. Wow. But and what it is, you wake up in the morning and you say 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that would make today awesome, and then kind of 3 positive mantras that, or it doesn't have to be 3, it could be a couple. And then in the evening, you come back to it and you say, what were 3 great things that happened today, and how could you have made today better? And it's really interesting, because a lot of times the 3 things that I say would make today great, sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't. But it's just a really nice way, I think, to frame up your mind for the day ahead. And it puts you in kind of a positive headspace of, there's a lot of possibility in what shape your day may take. And so I think a lot of that, setting myself up for success, I guess, for my day, I think really helps.
Yeah, mindset is really critical. I think a lot of times founders don't give that enough attention, and they just plow through the hardcore work. And sometimes your state of mind and how grounded you are and how open you are to creativity and to idea flow can make the difference between something taking 5 hours and 1 hour.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think even from reading a lot of these books from other founders, it's like, honestly, kind of one of the biggest things is your mindset. I think there's a phrase like, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I think it's really true. A lot of it is just having that resilience and being able to wake up every day and be like, I'm going to keep going. So I think where exercise and kind of, meditation, some of those practices come in, I think it can be really valuable for getting your head, in that right frame of mind. Yeah.
And I also, I recall you mentioning something that I wanted you to share with your listeners because I thought it was really good advice. And also, obviously this applies to sometimes the individual. What works for one person doesn't work for everyone. But share with our listeners the idea of compartmentalizing your day and being time and project specific, especially when you were talking about raising capital.
Yeah, exactly. So that comes into kind of the time blocking piece where I would set out, a couple hours a day or to work on something specific, but I also try to like theme my days. So like today was a big content day for me and a big website day for me. So I had a few different things that I was working on, but it was mostly dedicated to things that had to do with our product and the website. Whereas yesterday was more of an email marketing day, and I dug into a lot of the emails that we've been sending to customers, and whether that's like our drip campaigns or marketing blasts or what our calendar looks like. So I try to kind of, like you said, compartmentalize. So I'm not just running around frantic all day, because I do find on the days where I don't do that or make a point to do that, I do feel like I kind of have like one foot in something, like my hand in something else, like I'm doing something of this, but then I don't finish that project and everything just feels a little fragmented. But if I can sit down and be like, okay, Thursday, for example, for the fundraising, like I'm going to dedicate, the first half of this entire day to completely fundraising and everything else has to wait. Right. And I think that has been really helpful in actually then getting things done, because you're not as interrupted. You've committed this amount of time or this day or whatever to actually focusing on this one task and kind of minimizing your email, putting that stuff aside. And I found that it helps me be a lot more productive than trying to do it all in one day.
Got it. Well, I think that's excellent advice. So we're starting to run low on time, but I have a few more things that I wanted to run by you. So here, get ready for this question. So if you could wave a magic wand, what one thing that drives you crazy do you wish someone would find a solution for that would help you with your productivity and or your sanity?
That's such a good question. I feel like it would have to be something around communication and remote teams. I mean, I think with COVID, like Zoom's been great. And we use Slack and things like that. But it's always, someone might not be on Slack at the right time. So trying to figure out a way to communicate with people that feels genuine, but also not like invasive. Like I think people are kind of having a little bit of Zoom fatigue. So I think if there's a way where it's, I guess maybe it's community building for the workplace. And I think Slack does an okay job of that. We're a smaller team. So yeah, I think that would be really, really a positive thing.
Got it. Okay, that's a very good one. All right, so lastly, one quick note. If there's an entrepreneur out there listening today that is contemplating starting a business, what one piece of advice would you give him or her that you wish someone had told you?
It's a good question. I think I wish someone had told me that it's okay that you don't have everything figured out, and that the best thing that you can do is just keep going. I think that I realized when I have the most success, it's by taking action. So even if I don't know if that action is exactly what it's supposed to be, but doing something is better than doing nothing. So another quote that I really like is, don't let perfect get in the way of progress. So I think early on, I spent a lot of time trying to make everything perfect, and it was at the expense of progress. So I think, looking back, there's things that I would have pushed through faster and had them be not perfect to get them going and get them out the door, and for us to be able to move a little bit quicker. So I think that is more important than having everything all figured out. It's just being willing to take that risk and take that next step and take that action.
Nice. Thank you. So thank you, Samantha. This is the end of our show. Thank you for being on Startup Hacks today. Your insight and suggestions were really helpful. If our listeners would like to reach out to you or learn more about your company, where should they go?
Yeah, I'm available at Samantha at welltraveledclub.com. It's traveled with one L. Our website is welltraveledclub.com, and our Instagram is also at welltraveledclub.
Well, best of luck with the launch, growth, and huge success with your platform. I want to thank you again. And to our listeners, tune in next week for more startup hacks. We have another great show you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that can save you time and money when building your business. Thank you for joining Startup Hack. Tune in next week for more interviews. We have another great show you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that can save you time and money when building your business. This podcast is brought to you by Women Entrepreneurs Global, the first startup studio and digital do-it-yourself startup platform for women. For more information on our guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit womenentrepreneurs.global. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapina. See you next week.